land use zones is very, very important, okay? Because now we're really moving into the city. We're going to see what the city looks like, what's happening in the city, right? And expect a kind of street plan or a city plan, map of a city in the exams, and people are going to ask you, what land use zone is that? Give a reason for your answer. What land zone is that? Give a reason for your answer. Why is this here? And so forth and so on. Please, people, see land use zones, you must understand. Right? You must understand, and you must be able to compare them. You must know what's going on in your land use zone. Because if you don't do that, you won't be able to answer your question in the exams. Okay, so you've got to understand it. So let's see if we can simplify this for you. You must remember that the most important land use zones will be the CBD, the industries, residential, the retail, zone of decay, and the rural urban fringe. Now, we are going to have a look at each of these land use zones, and we are also going to see how they are indicated on your map, on your topographic map, because it's very important that you must also be able to answer these type of questions in your second question paper as well. Okay, so firstly, let us have a look at the different land use zones. So let us just play this.
Every urban settlement has a central business district in its historic core. This trading district is always situated where several main roads meet and is the primary location for shops, offices, restaurants and entertainment. High land value means few people live here. This is the main difference between the central business district and other urban zones. During the Industrial Revolution, many towns experienced a massive influx of industry workers. These workers and their families needed accommodation, and so thousands of new houses were built, close together in a grid-like pattern around factories. Today, with the decline of many traditional industries, many of these houses and factories have been replaced by wasteland and cheap housing. With a lack of employment and low-value housing, many inner-city areas are characterized by urban decay, unemployment and crime. Wealthier urban residents can choose a suburban lifestyle on the outskirts of the city. Suburban houses are often bigger, with gardens, garages and areas of open space. Beyond suburbia lies the rural-urban fringe, the transition zone between town and countryside, commonly dotted with business parks, shopping centres, hotels and in many cases, airports. Remarkably, urban settlements follow this basic pattern in almost every town and city in the developed world, transcending size, culture and climate.
Okay, people, that was just a short introduction to our different land use zones. Now, what we're going to do now, please bear in mind what you've just, the video clips that you just looked at, and then you perhaps, all these things that I'm going to discuss with you will actually become much easier for you. So, okay, let's have a look at your different land use zones. Right, the first one that they mentioned there was the CBD. Now, what's very important when you have a look at your CBD is that you must remember that your CBD is the most accessible part, your highest buildings, and please remember when we had a look at urban profile, you must make a connection between urban profile and the CBD here. You must know a high density of building that we've got here. And please, people, have a look at the different functions that you get in the CBD. That's very, very easy. But your problems that you have here, traffic jams that you experience in your CBD. Okay, so you must be able to identify your CBD on a photo and on a map. Now, how will you be on a map? I've mentioned the word accessible. In other words, you must see where the main roads meet. There we actually get our CBD. The next one that they mentioned there was was the commercial one. Now, what's very important, people, is that you must remember that the CBD, this beautiful photo of Cape Town that we've got here, the CBD is the commercial heart of the city. Okay, so we've got the CBD, we've got your commercial functions in your city, but you must also know that these commercial functions have decentralized from the cities to shopping malls like Canal Walk, that we also see on the photos that we've got. So you must know, you must be able to recognize also your decentralized shopping or commercial functions on a map or a diagram. The following one would be the residential. Now, on the video clip that you saw, they mentioned your high income and your low income. And you would see that what's important of your high income is that you must see the difference in size of plots between the two, right? And usually you can see that when they ask a question like that in the exam, go to your orthophoto map, because on your orthophoto map you can see the difference in sizes in the plots of your high income and your lower income residential areas. Now, usually your high income residential areas are situated on a slope, usually that they, more the north facing slope, and that they can have all the climatological advantages there. Your low income on the other hand, usually you find these residential areas close to your factories, your manufacturing parts of your city, because people must be close to there. They haven't got cars that can drive so very far, and they usually walk or take the train to them. Then what's very, very important, people, in South Africa is your informal settlement. Your informal settlement. Please, people, they use that word nowadays instead of the word squatter camps. So please take note your informal settlements. Now, people, this is very easy. It's things that you see in the news, on the TV, in newspapers every day. You must know what the informal settlement looks like. You must be able to describe it. You must be able to describe the buildings that we find here, which is very easy, made of zinc, made of wood materials, right? You must be able to describe the problems that people experience in your informal settlements, problems like crime, problems like fire, and all these type of stuff, flooding that you find in your informal settlement. So it's very important, people. You must be able to identify high income, identify low income, and you must be able to also have a discussion on informal settlements. Okay. Then the industries, a very important question is describe the factors that influence the location of your industries. Here we've got Paarl, and here are the industries, this black here in Paarl. Why are they there? Let's have a look. Firstly, you must know your factors: level ground, raw material, water, labor, power, transport, market. Please, people, study those stuff, because you must be able to say why we find those, especially in your second question paper. Firstly, it's level. No contours there, very few contours, one or two. Then the raw material, here from the farms in Paarl that provide the raw material for the industries. Have a look at this water. Here's a dam, there's a river, very important water. Labor that we get here from the residential areas here. See a residential area very close to the industries, low income. This question has been asked in the examination already with regard to the Paarl map. Power, here we see a power line running here. So you see all the factors are coming up here. Here's transport, here we've got a road here we've got a railway line. And then of course the market, the place where people, the people who can buy the goods, where the goods can be sold, market. Now of course, lots of Paarl's goods are also sold on the international markets, but Paarl itself also provides a market for the goods produced in the factories. Okay, our following one would be the zone of decay. Now your zone of decay, what's very important is you must know where it's found. It's found just on the edge of the CBD. And then there are two very important questions. What are the characteristics of the zone of decay? And how can the zone of decay be managed? Very easy. Have a look at the buildings here. Firstly, you see that we've got old buildings. It's just outside the, and very important, mixed functions. When we looked at the other zones, the CBD, commercial, residential, industries, then we saw we only found one certain type of function we found there. But here in the zone of decay, immediately you'll see we've got a mixed function. And very important is that the land here is very, very expensive. Why? Because it's just outside the CBD, but the buildings are worth very, very little. Now, how can this be managed? And that is very important. You must be in a position to say, how can the zone of decay be managed? First, renovation. Secondly, renew the buildings here. Thirdly, reduce the housing density, make more, create more open spaces, and then that is in these three ways, basically your zone of decay can be managed. Okay, then the last one that they also mentioned on the video clip would be the rural-urban fringe. Now let's have a look at the rural-urban fringe. Here we've got the rural-urban fringe of Bloemfontein. Let's see what do we find here. Here we find the airport, Bloemfontein Airport that we've got here. Here we've got small holdings that we find here. Here we've got a golf course, recreation, sewage dam, race course. These people are classical examples of functions found in the rural-urban fringe. Now, it's very important, very, very popular in your second question paper that the examiners ask you, all right, here's the city, there's the rural areas, what functions do we find in the rural-urban fringe? And these that I've shown you now in Bloemfontein, compare them, study them, and you must know what to look for to get to the answer, right? And if you study these things and you know these things, any map they confront you with, you will be able to get to the answer of the functions in the rural-urban fringe.